Uh, I'll tell you a little bit about pro-organic. I'll do an introduction with our speaker, and then she will have 40. You might be on mute.
Hi, everybody. Nice to have you here. My name is Omaira. Sorry, Omaira Avila Rostant. And a little bit of me, I am Venezuelan Trinidadian. My mother is a Trinidadian, married to a Venezuelan. And I grew up in the two countries, so I believe I am from both countries. I am an agricultural engineer by profession. I have a postgrad in plant biotechnology, what is called a MPhil from the University of the West Indies, Trinidad. And I have been working in agriculture for over 30 years. I started with crops like coconut, palm oil in traditional agriculture, and I moved to plant biotechnology, tissue culture, new technologies in general are my passion. I always looking to learn what is new and how can we make agriculture better. And right now we're working in projection and programs that could help us to project changes that are happening in agriculture. So the SAT, agrocrop, many aquacrop, many technologies that are being developed to support agriculture. So my presentation in particular is about a fairly new technology or a system that is being proposed for agriculture. And it's practically something that has been given a name. So I will start my presentation. Can I share?
Yes, you should be able to. Hold on 1 second.
Tell me when.
You should be able to share now.
Okay, I'm going now then. Okay, let me put it in the beginning. So it will be easier. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Can you all see my presentation? Oh, I cannot.
We can see it now. I can see it now.
But it's in presentation mode or just
I can see the slides, not in presentation mode. You can put it in presentation mode if you want.
Yes, now it went into presentation mode. You could see it?
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to welcome you to the Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute because many persons believe that our name is CARDI. Well, CARDI is the acronym for our institute, which is a Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute. And we are found online as CARDI Caribbean. Very important when you're searching for CARDI, okay? Now, what about CARDI? CARDI was established in 1974. It has been working non-stop since. In Belize, the office was opened in 1975. We have 14 member countries and all ministers of agriculture are the board members responsible from keeping this institute alive. We are a member of CARICOM. Our present executive director is Mr. Barton Clark, and our headquarters are in Trinidad and Tobago. The 14 countries, as you could see, Belize is one of them, as you could see in this map, and the largest countries are Belize, Guyana, and Jamaica. The rest are small islands. So this technology that we will discuss here has been widely implemented in this region. While in Belize is still working, in the Caribbean islands, the majority are looking forward to implement this kind of technology. Okay. Now, it's very important to know that cardio strategies have changed over the years. Presently, the institutes have realized that when you talk about agriculture, you cannot just stay in agriculture. You have to think about the whole value chain. And what the value chain means is not only the production, but also all the stages until that product goes to the plate of any person. And therefore, we need to have an impact in each one of them, or at least partner to make sure that what our farmers are producing gets to the consumer safely with a price that is adequate and abundance enough that they have no shortage of food, which is called food security. Okay, so it's food security and nutrition security. Those are two areas that CARDI tries to guarantee in all their work for the Caribbean. Strategically, we have what we call cross-cutting issues. Those are issues that implement in any area of work. That is the use of ICTs, that is a resource-based results that could be used by the farmers or by anybody. Financial sustainability. Once we promote a technology, the farmer must have that capability to go back to it. We don't want them to be dependent on anybody, or at least the least dependent as possible. Resource mobilization, everybody in the value chain should benefit. Climate change effects, climate smart, all these technologies need to be understood in order to be able to assess and support the farmers. We must have inclusion and equality. Everybody, gender, everyone should be benefiting from the agricultural sector. And of course, youth and gender given the privileges to be part of the process, not only consumers of the process, but also part of it. Okay. Now, the topic today is is one that is very interesting. It's called CARDI initiatives toward promoting regenerative farming in the Caribbean region. And a lot of the approaches will be based on what we have in Belize. Now, I want to bring you to one topic. I want to tell you what is regenerative farming or regenerative agriculture. It's an approach. It's a recently, it have gotten a lot of attention, and the focus is to create sustainable food systems, okay? Now, they really don't have a scientific description or definition for this term. They have two possible ways. One is based on the fact that they say describes a dynamically advanced modified technique involving the use of organic farming. That's one way of putting it. The other one states that is actually a farming approach that has the capacity of renewal and resiliency, contributes to soil health, increases water percolation and retention, enhances conservation diversity, and sequesters carbon. These efforts, CARDI efforts, seems to be more related to this definition, okay? It doesn't mean that it's totally agreed. It's not generally something that is defined, but at least what we do fits more in this area, okay? It's important to know that once you have to determine what will be the definition that they will use in the country, everyone in the industry value chain must have a possibility to measure it. That is government agency, sectors organization, industries, farmers. Some of the indicators that is expected to be fulfilled with regeneration agriculture are what are the sustainable goals will be number 8, which is a decent work and economic growth. 12, responsible consumption and production. 13, climate actions. 70, partnership for the goal. And 15, which is life on land. I realized they came out around, okay? So those are the sustainable goals that this approach trying to fulfill. Now, why using this technology? Well, it's a desire that many persons in the agricultural sector has to achieve global food security while reducing the use of external inputs and reduce environmental damage, okay? The intention is to go back to a cycle system that allow us to take better advantage, but at the same time, don't affect the environment as much, okay? They have other systems very similar, and I will mention a few. Organic agriculture, which is different from agriculture, regenerative agriculture, climate smart agriculture, sustainable intensification, agroforestry, and circular agriculture or permaculture. All those terms focusing in also trying to achieve this food security, reducing the impact we have to the environment, and as well as the inputs that we have that are not natural. Now, I want to expand a little bit in climate smart agriculture because it's one of the areas where CARDI works the most, okay? What is climate smart agriculture? It's an approach that helps to guide actions needed to transform and reorient agriculture system to effectively support development and secure food security in a changing climate, okay? Aims to 3 objectives: sustainable increase agricultural productivity and incomes, adapt and build resilience to climate changes, and reduce and removing greenhouse gas emission, okay? Now, once you go now, you have then the goals of regeneration farming. What are the goals in regeneration farming? Soil. They try to improve, contribute to building soils along with soil fertility and health, okay? The second goal is to increase water percolation, water retention, climate, and safe runoff of water. Biodiversity, ecosystem health, and that is capacity for self-renewal and self-resilience. In the biodiversity, you have enhanced and conserve biodiversity. And then the last one is carbon, which is carbon, a sequester of carbon. I will try to address CARDI's impact based on these areas, okay? So I want to, in the case of regeneration, regenerative agriculture, these are the areas that they're trying to improve. Planet, okay, in green. They have people, they have profits, and they have soils. None of them can go without the other, okay? Because if it's not profitable, no matter how good it is, it will not move us there. That is why one of the major issues is any technology we use must be profitable for the farmer or the implementer. As well, price-wise, need to be competitive for the user. The consumer cannot be forced in products just because they have health benefit too expensive for them. So it goes hand to hand that the value chain should have a way to control prices as well as save the planet, improve the soil, have health benefits of what they produce. So let's put the first one. Remember, we have a value chain. The first one is soils. Now, CARDI has many projects dedicated to soil fertility and health improvement. Those are cover crops. One of the areas we are trying to promote is the use of green cover crops, in this case, Canavalia mucuna. The Belize unit have a small collection that we are trying to prove now and multiply. So hopefully by next year, we will have seeds to sell. At this point, we now just multiplying the collection, okay? We have the support of a researcher that belongs to your group, Henry, and he gave us a collection that we now trying to mass multiply. A promotion of soil cover to reduce moist loss and erosion as possible. That's covering with plastic or other technology that reduce evapotranspiration. Promotion of technology to monitor soil degradation. And this is where ICTs have drones. We have the SAT, which is a project that allows, a program that allows us to project how well the changes in climate affects soil moisture and water within time, so we could develop preventative measures. Promote planting techniques that reduce erosion, like contours and other technology that is part of our training in any train we do. Of course, the capacity building is always key in CARDI, and you could go to our website. We have many documents, not new alone, but all that tries to promote all these technologies. Mulching, use of compost as a soil ameliorance. This is big, especially, you know, we have a coconut project. A lot of the waste is being promoted. It's one of these, compost and biofibers. The use of effective microorganisms to reduce the use of chemical fertilizers. And these are technologies that is still being trying to be tested in order to know the efficiency when it comes to prices. We know they are efficient, but when it comes to revenue to the farmer, sometimes that is where the difference comes. If it's cost effective to implement in the long term or in large proportions. So CARDI always trying to incorporate it in order to see what will be the impact and how will be the impact in the environment as well as in the finances of the farmer. Here they have some of the technologies. You could see contours here. You could see mulching. You could see a plastic cover and some of the webinars that we offer for soil improvement. Water, increase percolation, water retention, and clean and safe water. Now, in agriculture, water is everything. Soil is the base. Water is what makes it. That combination is what makes it alive. If you have no water and not good soil, your possibility of survival is very low. You could have a very bad soil, but if you have good water, you could even try to improve it using technology. So water is an essential component when it comes to agricultural development. So some of the practice that we have adapted for a efficient use of water, and this table, you have harvesting of water, recycled drainage, use of affluents, soil and water conservation system, increased drip. This link that you have there is actually a document that is complete online. You could go and check it out and learn more. Enhance water resource management. We improve watersheds, enhance water storage, and enhance soil filtration. So these are some of the systems that we have promoted at CARDI. Of course, drip irrigation and any irrigation that allows efficient use of the water is always best to use. We have plastic, we have mulching, we have even intercropping, where you have a canopy that reduces the evapotranspiration, and of course the harvesting of water, which are technologies that all CARDI is capable to train persons. We promote it, we include it in our technologies. In the coconut project, some of the technologies that we incorporated are the use of intercropping, mulching as possible, especially in young plants, and water harvesting. So everything is linked. Those are cross-cutting when it comes to agriculture. Then you have ecosystem health. Now, we know, especially in Belize, that a poor management of a crop always end in ecosystem problems and health problems that reduce productivity. So therefore, this has been a topic that Cardi always addresses. Right now, we have as you know, or maybe you're not aware, the issue with the Asian trip. Okay, so what Cardi has done is in any problem that is around, Cardi partners with other institutions and extend a hand. How we could help, we always offer. In this case, Cardi works to support when it comes to the surveying, when it comes to be in the boards of in the task force to see what issues can address, testing any technology that is being put forward to be as an approach for control. So that is how Cardi support the partners. Okay, not only we lead, sometimes you also have to be willing to put a hand, and that is what Cardi have a strength. We might not promote a lot, but we always have a hand to help any one of the institutions and farmers to solve issues that are big or small. It doesn't matter. Well, carbon sequestration, this one is something that has come for us. Cardi by the National Climate Change Office was requested to be the lead for the actual inventory, implementing the inventory for 2018 and 19 and 20 of the carbon sequestration for Belize, the greenhouse emissions, sorry. But some of the areas that we promote is, well, the use of agroforestry, long-term crops, which allow at least sequestration, and you know, coconut and all these technologies are being promoted. Energy production and use from cleaner sources. We have an Arundodonax project or wild cane to be used as a source of energy. We have the use of solar panels for drying as a methodology to use in value adding in cassava. We have Consume Local, which is a campaign the ministry started, but we support highly because that reduces all the impact that we have when it comes to carbon sequestration. Capacity building, that is a very important part, especially in the waste management with coconut, cassava, all crops. We have a percentage of waste that need to be reused as a second income in order to reduce their impact when it comes to carbon release. And of course, efficiency in the value chain. It's important that anybody in the value chain has a link, have a support to the other one. So waste is reduced. In 2013, they had a research showing where was the biggest amount of waste. And it was proven that was in the linkage between players in the value chain, because the producer produce and try to be efficient, but based on the request of the processor, a lot remain in the field, a lot is wasted, okay? Then they have the other issue that the consumer might want a product that not necessarily have the value chain is ready to provide. So they discard a lot. And then the wastage of food that is not consumed and ends in garbage. So the value chain need to become efficient in all products in order to reduce this issue. Okay. The last one, okay, this is the project I told you about energy production. And this is a project that we are partnering with CIRDI and the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, where we are doing the agronomic development of two varieties for generation of electrical energy for Belize, okay? One of them is Arundodonax. Well, this one is not present, and Gynerion. Those two are the ones that we are testing right now, and the intention is for them to be a support to the bagasse when it comes to energy production in Belize. Now, the biodiversity, as you see, I left it for last. And the reason I left it for last is because this is one of the strong points of the Belize unit. We do production, not only for Belize, so regionally, of corn and different seeds, open pollinated, meaning that the farmer, as I told you, could save seeds. We do not have any problem against hybrids or even GMOs if they have the GMOs is for a characteristic that could be proven that is benefits the user. But at this point, the unit, because of moratoriums on GMOs, works in hybrids and open pollinated. With all our grains, we work with open pollinated. We have corns, we have beans, we even have, and this is not open pollinated, this is for mass production. We have cassava, that is something we now starting to go, and sweet potatoes. So we could even provide planting material for those in a smaller scale at this point. When it comes to our bean projects, we have a different projects that we are working. First is the production of open pollinated, which is a programs constant. We have the seed laboratory where we offer for a cost germination tests. So you could carry your seed and we do a germination test, or purity test, meaning if you want to spot beans or seeds, we could determine how pure it is, and our test is recognized internationally. As well as we have GMOs free tests, meaning if the seed is produced by us, we could guarantee you that it's GMOs free and you could produce it, and it will be accepted in countries with no issue. Adaptability trials, we are working and develop this even a little further because the digitalization of the information is being put forward. But what adaptability trials are, any crops could come to us and we will do either by a course or by a research, we will try to do, to see which one of the varieties perform better when it comes to the impact in the environment as well as in the productivity, okay? Right now we have two projects. One is the biofortified beans. We have 57 accessions in this collection being tested. We have castor oil, and we have 4 collections in this tested. This one is to start in July. We also have partnered with the World Vegetable Center. This is very recent. Actually, you are the first one to be informed with the introduction of open pollinated. Hopefully we will partner with the Ministry of Agriculture as well. And they want to test 13 different varieties of open pollinated tomatoes, 5 varieties of sweet peppers, as well as hot peppers, and 10 varieties or 30 varieties of different type of pumpkins. We do have a collection, what we call a germplasm collection, that we manage, and we have peanut, 15 varieties. We have beans, 8 varieties of red and 8 varieties of black. We have corn. We promote the use of the C1, YC001, which is our open pollinated variety we have, NB6, which is a white corn that we have. Here you have some of what the work we do. This is the hot pepper production system, as well as our lab. We receive, one of the areas is we constantly receive persons that comes to see either for awareness or for capacity building. They always have groups coming to learn more what we do, or asking us to give them support and teach them some technology that they will learn to learn. We also have other activities regionally, and one of the ones that are coming very strong is the fact that CARDI has been given the mandate to do germplasm conservation regionally. Okay, this is not just for Belize. We have active collections right now, and this is regional. We have something called Gundu, Wandu, or pig and peas, we have 15 to 20 accessions in Tobago. Sweet potato, we have 50 to 100. Right now we have a project collected all around the countries. So if you have sweet potato varieties, feel free to contact me and give me some varieties. We are producing, we're trying to do the collection here in Belize. Cassava collection, also we have 50 accessions around the Caribbean and Belize. We have, I think, 6 or 7, and we're trying to mass produce it and make it available for anyone who wants cassava, depending on the amount. Jamaica, and recently we have a program that is called pilot program for climate resilient project. It's called PPCR. And this project benefited 4 countries. Well, all the small islands were benefited from it, but the center, they actually set up a germplasm collection center in Jamaica, a full lab. Sadly, Belize was not qualified for that project because it was a project directly to Jamaica, but we benefited in a way because we got a state-of-the-art dryer for seed. Next time you come to the lab, you will see the changes. So we have the capacity to dry 11 varieties of any seeds at the same time, 12 actually. Okay. Now the project is 10 million US dollars, and it was the Inter-American Bank. And what they will do is they will have replicates. Belize will have a replicate of some collections, but Jamaica will have a bigger replicate. So in case of this natural disaster, like the ones happen right now with our colleagues in St. Vincent, we could address and support them. That is why it's so important to collect in a organized manner and keep in the collection. Okay. Now, we also work worldwide with all the institutions that produce open pollinated varieties or any varieties. And in any time we could link with them, and we have been in some of them. They always offer, and that's why you see right now we're working with, well, we have worked with SIA, we're working with SIP, we're working with CEMED, we now working with the World Vegetable Institute Center. So everybody's linked when it comes to the management of germplasm. These are some of the varieties that we have at Cardi. This is MB6 corn. The good thing about this corn is, as you could see, you could have, it's a white corn. The maturity is 105 days. And it gives, it's not a high production, but it's steady, 16 to 2,000 pounds. But the most important thing is you could keep it in the ground. Small farmers always want that. And because it's close, you could even keep it in longer, okay, in the fields. The same thing with our YC001, it's an open pollinated, both of them. And their demands, yield potential right now with YC001 have increased. We have between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds. No, it's more or less the same. I now realize it's 110 days, and it's very, it has a high demand in the Caribbean, especially because we produce for Belize and the Caribbean. We also have hot peppers. The Belize unit do not produce Scotch bonnet, but our colleagues in Antigua does. So we do have it available. Right now we have, if you are interested, we sell the seeds. It has a cost of $62, I think, for the Scotch bonnet. For the local is, I believe, 45. We have Moruga and West Indies Red available, the seeds. Okay. Black beans, we have 8 varieties. Here I show you 2. I have Italijero and Halacted Black. Some of these are being tested for the Asian trip, and it's showing some resistance. Hopefully we will be able to expand on that. And these are some of the red varieties. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, hope it was what you expected. You all there?
Miss Omaira, how would we go
Ah,
about getting in contact with you or Cardi to find out more about these programs and things that you are doing?
well, in the back of the in the last slide, I show you the direction. You could always email us, and we could see how to partner. Which institution you are from?
Well, I'm from Pro Organic, but just as
Oh,
far as small farmers, or if anybody wants to get more information about growing certain crops or
yeah.
seed
I
save,
I have
any
huh.
information like that.
I have an open policy when it comes to calling me. People could call me with references. Sometimes it's hard to come in the office, especially now with this situation. But anybody could call me, and I will give them support. If I don't have the information, we will try to get it. The good thing about Cardia is we have over 200 between scientists and professional staff capable of answering questions. So it's not that we will answer all the questions, but we have a very strong group that we could ask, and they will give us support in whatever information is required. So sometimes we could reply right away, and sometimes we'll need some time for them to get it back. When it comes to coconut, because it's one of the projects we trying to implement, as you see, I didn't put a lot of attention on it because I didn't want it to lose the focus in coconuts alone. We have what we call Belize Coconut News, which is a WhatsApp group, and a lot of people join. You could send us your number, we add you up, and they have interactions. We have not been able to start something like that for the other groups. We might think about it. We also have a website, the Cardi website. It has a lot of technical packages, information that you could use. But that is the way. If it's specific for Belize, you could call me. If it's something general that you want most information, you could go to our website, and we have a lot of information there. We have a virtual library that you could access.
Perfect.
Vegetable seed, Pantaleon, they now coming in. So we hoping that by next year we will have them. Cardi is the first time we're working with vegetable seeds. I know the ministry have been trying. I don't know if the group Pro Organic has, but Cardi only now is starting to do. But it will be peppers and tomatoes and pumpkins, cucumbers and cilantro at this point. At least Cardi is not working with them. I don't know Pro Organic.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Pantaleon, I will add you to the coconut news. Okay.
All right. So what we can do now is we can take a short intermission and we'll do a poll.
And we make sure it's available when they need it. Okay. So that is more or less when we assess farmers. Cardi also sits in the pesticide control board, and we promote if anything is accepted, it should be the least impacted for human and environment. And that is the code of the board as well. So everybody understands the issues with the use of chemicals, but we have to be realistic when it comes to the economic impact in general. If they stop using, but you still using import products, processed, you still consuming every chemical in the world, and still the farmers will not make. So a lot of people are getting against the farmers, but they don't realize that when they use import products, still consuming, and that is not the farmer's fault. So we always try, that is why I told you the value chain. It's very important to understand the value chain. Like GMOs, and this is just to finish my response. GMOs has been banned in Belize when it comes to production. But look at all the shelf products and tell me which corn they're using. And then you will tell me if they are not GMOs. So that balance need to be there. We cannot attack only the farmer if the rest of the value chain is still not impacted. Remember, they need to be suppliers of that value chain in order for them to survive. Otherwise, we become dependent of other industries.
Okay, thank you. What are the biofortified seeds fortified with?
Some are iron, well, it's rice and beans. And one is zinc and one is iron. And the reason is because they have great deficiency of those in the region. What we have noticed, and this is something studies have shown, that the fact that the temperature is getting higher is also causing that the crops no longer are as nutritious as they used to be. Not only because they are mixed, but it's also because with the climate change, the availability of nutrients is reduced. So it needs to be strengthened. And this program started by CIAT through traditional breeding many years ago, and now they have been tried to test it. So CARDI, AICA, Ministry of Agriculture have partnered together with CIAT and other institutions worldwide, other universities, in order to test it and see what will be the adaptability here. They have another project, and CARICOM is trying to develop that one that will study the acceptability and nutritional enhancement that will have in the industry. It's replicated in Guyana, but with rice. They wanted Belize to do beans because Belize is big producer of beans, and Guyana is a big producer of rice.
Okay, thank you. Suggestions for cover crops and where can we get the seeds?
Okay, they have a Canavalia mucuna 2 that are being promoted right now. Ministry, if it's a small scale, Ministry had seed. We still not totally fully selling, so we might have next year. We know they have green cover crops. You could have any legume that sprouts fast. You could use it as a cover crop. One promotion, and this was in the Regeneration Belize year before seminar, Kahanun, they were using it to cut and put it as a mulching. They use the Madre Cacao. So they have other techniques, but if you want green cover crops, those are two of the one. Now, you have to be careful because with the Asian trip, they are susceptible, okay? And it could be a host for problems in the future. So even that we are now looking, because remember, most of the cover crops we are promoting were legumes, but this pest stays one specimen is too much, okay? And they actually go in the flower and kill the plant. So we might have to think about an alternative. So far, that is what is being promoted.
Okay, is any work being done on breadfruit, mangoes, and jackfruit? Like
Yes.
recording what varieties we have in country?
And Belize, no, and I will love to do one. In all the islands, yes, we just released a protocol for export of breadfruit from St. Lucia. So yes, I'm willing to work. We have a very strong working group in breadfruit in Trinidad and St. Lucia. Is breadfruit or jackfruit? Which one of the two?
Both. Well, he has jackfruit.
He
But-
has jackfruit.
And
yes.
breadfruit.
Yeah,
both.
so we have worked a lot in the region. Now remember, because each unit tried to support the national work, we try not to go too thin. And sometimes, depending on the demand, we will not venture in those areas, at least for this unit. But we will link you to people who will work in that area in other units. So like Belize is known for cereals. So a lot of people in Belize think, oh, the Belize, Cardi is only work with cereal. No, Cardi works in everything, but each unit have a focus. So like Jamaica is big, small ruminants. When you come to goats and sheep, go there. Pigeon peas, Trinidad, Antigua does pumpkins and hot peppers. Barbados is abundant, culture. Jamaica now has the collection. Jamaica has a coconut program that's excellent. Grenada has all when it comes to fruit. So when I hear you want mangoes, and because they are fruit fly free, they are exporters of soursop, nutmeg. They have beautiful packages for fruit management. Vegetables, we do have San Lucia works with vegetable, also them in Grenada and other islands. So each island has a strength when it comes to work. So that is why we partner. Always we partner to know how to support each other. Okay. So you just ask, and if we have support, we will then pass you to them, or we will try to develop a program. Like sweet potato. When I came to Belize, I work in root crops for over 10 years. So I have a passion for when it comes to cassava and sweet potato. But in Belize, those are crops that are minimal. Okay. In the Caribbean, I worked 10 years in the production of all the value chain and the sweet potato, and we have a strong background in that area. But in Belize, is practically not used. No. So yes, we do have any fruit. Once you tell me which one, and breadfruit is coming. The market is growing very quickly for export markets. So we do have a package out. We have a program how to export it in this San Lucia. You could go to our website, Cardi Caribbean, and you will find it. You could download it and use it.
Okay. Next question. Do we have flava, FLAVA beans in Belize, or access to flava bean seed through the established networks?
Yes and no. In Belize, I never saw it. We could find it. What I cannot promise you to know is if they have, well, I will ask, yes. The legumes work collection is in Ciudad, Colombia. With them is the ones that we are working to do the biofortified. So if we want a collection or we want to taste it, they will send something to be tested there. Now, if it's just a few seeds, sometimes that is not possible. And I would like you to run a poll very quickly for me, if sorry I didn't before, which seed they would like to see, because like somebody called me this week asking for mung bean. We stopped producing mung bean because it's not cost effective. People wasn't coming for it. And he said, well, I'm so sorry to hear that because it was a really good crop. So we don't mind to do a small plots of different things, but we need to know what. Because remember, at the end, those are crops that will require work, and we need to know that it will be selling. Because keeping the seed after a year, 2 years, a seed is no longer germinating well. So we cannot select for seed. So we need to have a secure market as seed, because we produce seed. We don't produce grain, and that's the difference. Seed means it must be capable of germinating and even have a process that is totally different. And then when it comes to grains, that is a different industry. We really don't work with grains. We have some time, but it's the excess when you clean for seeds. So if you could have the pool and ask what they want us to see when it comes to cereals though, I don't mind to hear and see what we could do. But right now, If the flower is just one person, if they have a group, we could ask for a little collection and see if they have a demand for it.
Okay. Have you ever worked with neem, or does Cardi in any of the islands or locations?
Yeah, neem has been promoted. This is a crop, it's a cross issue crop. Neem has been promoted as a crop in plant health management, plant health field management, because it's a plant that reduce the different, sorry about that. The different, just give me a second, please. So sorry. We have a dog passing, so everybody is excited. Okay, there you stop. Yeah, so neem is a cross crop. So we have used it, the seeds to do biopesticides. Some, I think it's Grenada who used it, and San Vincent. We also use it as a crop itself. A life post with neems. Now, one thing you have to know about neem is a natural pesticide, okay? It will kill the bees, and that is very, very important when it comes to pollination. So we do not recommend a higher population of neem in any fields. When you have a population of neem, it should be 1% of everything if you want to keep the population of bees. If you mix it in 100 plants, you should have 1 to 10 plants, and they should be very sparse. Now, if you want a high control and you don't want nothing there, well, then you could put more, but you have to have other diversity for them to feed, the bees to feed. Otherwise, your population will dry out. We had an experience in Venezuela. In Venezuela, the Cubans promoted this plant, so they cut all the trees on the road, on the highway, and they put neems. They just started to die. And a good friend of mine, his father was in charge of the biocontrol lab. And he said, what is happening? And he did a study. And that's how he chose that neem has a high impact against bees. So you have to control the numbers. The numbers is what you have. It's a great plant, but in high population, it does what it does best, kill everything.
Okay. Next question is, does Cardi help with export packaging and new market identification?
It depends on the programs, okay? Right now we have a coconut development program, and that program has that component attached. Not so much packages, but it has for identification of markets, okay? So directly, no. If a program or a project identified as a component, we partner with different persons to do it. So in the coconut, it's the only program we have right now in Belize that has a component that will help to identify external markets.
Okay. Any update on the use of sorghum or seagrass in soil management?
In Belize, they don't use it as soil management. They only use it as animal feed. Any cereal, the stalk could be used just for mulching purposes, but the way they produce here, because they come cultivated afterwards, it really just incorporated. Even some people just burn it before they incorporate it because they don't have machines big enough to break it down. Okay, so I will say no. They have no research, at least from Belize, from Cardi Belize. I don't know if anybody else who is doing it. Now, sorghum, in my experience, I don't know Mr. Sena before me, I have not seen a high impact in sorghum. I see now that it's coming more. I saw it in Brazil. In Brazil, what they do is they pass on top, so they create like a layer, and then they plant in between that. And in countries that have a freezing period, they are very good to protect the seeds. But because Belize is so hot, they really don't see the benefit because it will be housing a lot of pests. Because remember, when you put it and it's cold, it kills everything. But when it's in this perfect soil, if water gets there, you will cultivate a lot of things and your seed might die. So they have a reason why they don't do it. But as a soil ameliorant, we promoting coconut fiber, okay? We not necessarily, even the corn trash, so far because they use sorghum only for animal feed, we really not promoting or any work on it.
Jenny, was that last question sorghum or sargassum?
Well, it says sorghum or seagrass.
Sargassum, we are having a nice program. San Lucia developed a fertilizer out of sargassum. They still being patent. The issue is the salt content, but they do trying a lot of options right now, especially our colleagues in the other islands have working very strongly on it. Okay.
Thank you, Omaira.
Okay, how long does it take for a farm to transition from chemical to organic?
5 years. People don't realize this, but when you say transitioning from chemical to organic, you have a period that once you stop, your plants will be a very nice source for any other person. Because remember, around you might have people still using the chemicals. So any pests living there that they know they might get killed, it coming by you. So therefore, you need to have a program how to reduce their impact. So for the first 2 years, you will have a high impact. Let's say you use compost. Compost is acid. I had the experience with somebody in Jamaica. They told him to put so much compost. He put the compost and everything started to dry. He called me panicking. The pH went down. Nothing nutrition-wise, the plants. I met somebody from the islands, the French islands, and he transitioned in limes. And it took him 5 years. And he told me, the first 2 years, I wanted to quit when I saw how bad my crop was looking. But I said, well, let me try. And then after that, his production went up because the equilibrium need to be built. Okay. So my recommendation, do it gradually by batches. Separate, put natural barriers and allow one piece to transition and then go to the second one. And that's where agroforestry. We got here, we have a lifestyle. You being organic, you don't want to go to the bush and have no electricity. You still want some type of new technology. The same thing with this plant. We change them so much that they need time to readapt any changes. So if you have a farm, transition gradually. That will help you to reduce the effect of the shock, seeing the plants. It's like when you are sick, going to a period and then you recuperate and then go to the other part. Agroforestry is one. Start to use the effective microorganisms. Start to use the mulching, do releases of biopesticide, plant the correct plants around, and remember, everything will have an effect. Most important, see how many people around you are producing using chemicals, and if your water source is upstream or downstream, whoever is doing what a pesticide, because at the end, you might not have organic. What you will have is a low input system because it's difficult to have a farm that is small being organic in the mix of these people, especially if you want certification. So you have to have low input. Low input is easy, but you cannot guarantee that the river will not have it, that the environment will have not drift when they apply chemicals. And those are all the issues happening when it comes to adopting a free or organic system. That is why I don't use the word organic. I always see low input, because if somebody tests your product, they might find a chemical and you say, I didn't use it, but your environment is full of it. You're looking.
Okay, next one is, will lentils and pigeon peas grow in Belize?
Pigeon peas, yes. We had a collection at Cardi. Sadly, they lost it way before I came. I used to eat pigeon peas every day and I suffer it. So I'm trying to start a collection. Lentils now, it requires a cold period. So we could try it for December and see how it adjusts, especially with this amount of climate cold fronts, most likely it will grow. We will have to try it. But lentil peas, yes. No,
Okay.
sorry, pigeon peas.
Okay. And would those be planted the same time as like the red beans or black beans?
Yes, generally you try to go to the cold period, coldest period. They do well when it's very cool.
Right. Okay. Are there plans to use the micro propagation lab close to Central Farm to propagate breadfruit?
Well, promote it. That's my dream. I am a biotechnologist by profession. So I just sent to the University of Belize a proposal to see if they allow me to use it because the lab is closed. So, and that's sad. In 2016, I was the biotechnologist for the coconut project for Cardi, and I evaluated that lab, and the lab is very nice, very good. And in 2018, they got some fun and they fixed some area. So it's very sad to know that it's closed. But that is a decision that the University of Belize have to do. When they say like the person who won propagation of breadfruit, one of the issues in any technology is the demand. Tissue culture is when you put a piece, you could get thousands of plants in no time, and that is costly. So sometimes persons come, oh, I want 2 or 3 plants. A tissue culture lab is not for 2 or 3 plants. A tissue culture plant is for plants, okay? And if they have a demand for it, it could be used. But if not, if it's just for a few plants, it may not, economically, it makes no sense. And I believe that is the issue they have been having, that persons don't understand the impact of a tissue culture lab. In general, it requires numbers in order to be successful.
Next question is, do you use diatomaceous earth for seed preservation?
No, at this point, no. We use traditional methods. We just go down, we put the humidity as between 8 and 12, and we store traditionally. We don't use those technologies, mainly because we don't have access to it at this point.
How do you preserve the seeds so that they don't, I know getting the humidity level down to the optimum for each seed.
Dryer.
Okay.
None of you have been at Cardi, no? Cardi have the capacity of drying around 50,000 pounds of seed in different capacity. As I just told you, we just got a research capable dryer with capacity to do 11 kilograms of each variety, 12 variety, but we have 50,000 separated from that. So our drying system, we use the international seed management system. So we bring down the humidity of the seed, we test it, we have our equipment, and then we store it. We have tanks low-cost tanks, which are water tanks, sealed, where we keep the moisture down, okay? That is why our seeds could preserve only for 2 or 3 years. If we have other technologies, it's longer. Okay? So all this technology, what guarantees the length? But because they are costly, you could only keep less, okay? So in our case, we only work for 2 or 3 years for the most. We have cases that after 4 or 5 years, we have tested the seed and it's still viable, but not to the levels we sell, because we sell every seed that you get from CAD is supposed to have 80% or more capability of germination. We normally work with 94, 95, but that is the brick. When you buy seed from us, that's what the package tells you.
Okay, does the question kind of for everyone, I guess, is does anyone know if the spoiled vegetables from the San Ignacio market are composted or the seeds can be harvested from overripe fruits and veggies? Does anyone know what happens to all the vegetables that get thrown out at the market?
Oh, no, I don't.
So you're not aware of anything happening with them, people using them for compost or?
Well, if they're using it for compost, they have to be careful because you cannot compost everything. You cannot compost nothing with seeds. So if it's produced that spoils and have seeds, they have to treat it separately, because if they put it in compost and the seed survives, then you will have a higher problem. But I'm sincerely never follow that one, so I'm not too sure what is happening there.
Okay. Is there a chance for CARDI to establish a soil test lab?
Well, actually, as I told you, CARDI partners with everybody. Right now, they have an international project coming on board, and they might develop a lab with CIRDI. CIRDI will be, they already have the soil lab and they will enhance it. Also, the University of Belize has a small soil lab capable of doing some analysis. I believe it's a lack of advertising, but this discussion has been coming over and over, and I know they have intentions to improving the lab at CIRDI as the national lab. And if that project come along, you will have a full lab there doing everything. So CARDI, remember, CARDI don't want to be too thin. So CARDI is a regional institution. Wherever the country could do for themselves, we support them. And that is something I support. I support an institution. Of course, everybody say, oh, well, why not Central Farm? The truth is, a Central Farm is central for some people, but not for the others. So it will be the same. So we're trying to create a network where the sample is collected in one place and taken to the different. That could happen where they have a centralized collection. They have every station, let's say, collect samples and then deliver it to the lab that will process it. So that could happen, but I believe CIRDI is the best location for a soil lab. Plus, they already have a soil lab.
I know we, Pro Organic had the experience a year and a half ago of testing produce, and we had to send it to a lab in Guatemala because there was no other place that did the testing of the produce. And basically this was to test for glyphosate and other pesticides.
Well, that is different. That is not a soil lab.
Right. See,
you have to know what you are asking for. So that is this is the certification, and that is something different. Now they have a food nutrition lab. Baja has a lab, okay, but those tests might not be something they have the equipment for. Remember at the beginning how they keep saying for COVID, who has the equipment? And so depending what protocol they're using and the equipment required and the cost of that equipment and the demand they have for it, then that test is included. Okay, so we sometimes have to also work with foreign labs, partially because the cost of having a local support in that test is simply not economically feasible. So vegetables, how many persons really, we have, let me give you my experience. I don't know that one, but let me tell you, we have a seed lab. We provide germination tanks and purity tests. If Cardi was to survive for that lab, we will close down long time, because we only get at the year maximum 10 samples. We actually don't get any germination tests. We do it for our foreign markets. Locally, maybe the ministry will come, maybe, but nobody else come to ask for germination tests. And when it comes to purity, it depends. Some companies will come, but nothing. And we have a lab for over 10 years. That's from 2004, they have that lab there. So you see why sometimes having a lab, we have not closed the lab because simply it's a need. The country don't have a lab, but sometimes you have to convince others the lab is useful. Somebody told me, why you don't certify internationally? It have a cost, a high cost, and it will not be paid by the services provided. So that cost effects is what sometimes prevent the country from include tests like that. In the Caribbean, a lot of, Caribbean is the only one who does that type of test. And it took in that time, maybe, I think it was 5 to 6 years to get it running. I don't know if it's still running, but I was in Trinidad when they run theirs, and it took them long to get it running.
Okay. Question, would you support having mandated pesticide residue testing for domestically grown produce?
Once you guarantee that whatever comes imported is also tested, because it's unfair that you will test the local and not the imported. Okay? So you are saying, let's test the local. What happened to the imported one? What is the difference? It's still produced. Okay? So the policy has to be fair. Yes, we want to control the people locally, but my point here is a lot of what you see in the market, not necessarily a local. Okay? And you cannot force anybody. Mandate means I forcing you to. It's impossible. Nothing. I only could mandate you if they have a possibility of killing somebody. And so far, anybody are free to not use it if they don't want to. So therefore, you cannot force anybody to be mandatory. It's unfair for the farmers, sincerely.
Okay. And has Cardi done anything with testing industrial hemp?
Hemp, no. Well, sadly, our colleagues in San Vicente having it bad right now with this volcano. They were the ones going forward when it comes to medical marijuana. In Belize, they had a lot of in the beginning. You remember when I did the project and everything. But the law, the way they wrote the law, although we give different recommendations, they came out with something that leave research out. You cannot do research if you're not linked to an industry. And Cardi do not work with an industry. Okay? So I hope that this new government change a little bit the policy, and that will allow us to test and work. Because we are not free, and this is the problem on mandated. We cannot, based on that law, take some variety and test it as we could do with the others, with the varieties of, no, it's illegal. If they find it in our compound with no linkages, First, they will not give us the permission to do it. And then it will be a crime to do it. And that is because they enforce something that is not well understood how will it impact the industry. So in Belize, we cannot do research freely when it comes to hemp due to these new mandates.
Okay, and last question I see, are there any efforts to mandate testing of both local and imported vegetables?
That's a question you will have to ask the ministry. Remember, we are a regional institution. We're not
Right.
I cannot have any input there.
Okay. Okay, I don't see any more questions. If anyone has one, send one to the Pro Organic host, and I'll ask. Otherwise, I think it's been a very informative presentation, and I thank you.
Well, you're welcome. As much as I could, try to. I always say all technologies, for me personally as a researcher, all technology have a possibility. I do believe we have to reduce a lot of what we do if we want to have a world in a few years, in 100 years. But at the same time, we have to be realistic, especially COVID taught us that we survive, we are okay, but they have many who do not have anything. Okay, so we do have to be realistic that socially we also have a mandate, and it's not only health, it's also the possibility of having to eat. And that's why agriculture allows certain technologies to be used despite. I will tell you, sometimes the cleanest technologies are made so expensive that it's impossible to implement if you're not rich. And that is one of the key points. I always have a problem with many of these technology, not because of the technology, but because of the fact that it's so costly to implement something that should be almost free. If it's supposed to be so easy to implement and so good to implement, it should not be so expensive. That is why I always have a voice for both technologies. Anything, it must be efficient for the user and the producer. Otherwise, we going nowhere. Only those that have will be able to afford it. So what happened to those that don't have? So I thank you for this invitation. I hope it was useful. I want you to think about others when you think about imposing technologies or making recommendations. Remember that yes, we want to bring them to a status, but we also want them to bring them alive. And that is important. Farmers in Belize have a big problem. And the problem they have is lack of markets. So therefore, I right now I'm suffering to see people selling tomatoes on the road next to nothing. Beautiful tomatoes. Yes, they might have chemicals. They might not. But it doesn't matter if they had or not. They still cannot sell it. You see? So we do need to promote the buy local as well as the use and the value chain, alternative user. I see ministry processing unit trying to save tomatoes. They have a small effort, but we need more promotion. So I would like to see you all promoting more processing when it comes to products and alternative uses. So if I have excess, I could use it. That might help because the waste right now is huge, huge. Waste in vegetable is one of the highest.
Very good point. And does Cardi do some work with schools?
Oh yes, that was my first dream when I came to Belize. Let me see if I find it. Oh my God, I don't know. I forgot to include that. I have a program that I call Pharmacy School for Kids. And the idea was to go to the schools and plant a crop and follow it with them. Okay, I have a pamphlet, and I try to, let me see if I get it from a free school for kids, and I will show you how it looks like. We did it in the first year I was in Belize, but as anybody who came to Cali knows, we are a very small group of people. So it became too problematic to implement it because it was too few of us. So we couldn't do it. We did it the first year in 2 schools and it went very well, very well. Okay. So yes, we work with it. We have it. We also every year make sure the schools close by to our Cardi Day, and that is exactly what we try to promote it. I cannot find it. Sorry, I got to look for it. I thought about it. I said they might not be interested in that. All our units work with kids. We promote the agriculture among children is one of our biggest, how to say, focus, and that is the cross-cutting issue called youth and gender. Okay. We also go to schools, and as well as we do demonstration in any school. Okay, we participate in many programs.
So is the easiest way to, what we'd like to do is to link some of Cardi's information about schools to our website. So would our person just go to the Cardi website and find the information on schools?
No, I will send you that one separate. Give me until Monday and I will get that pamphlet because pamphlet is beautiful.
Okay.
Right now on the website, especially in our Instagram, I don't have a, personally, I don't use Facebook, but I have an Instagram account, and our Instagram account, we have a very good communication program in Trinidad, and she promotes a lot of our work with kids. So there you will see what we do, and you can link there. You go to our Instagram and you see some of our efforts. Okay, let me introduce you to my kid. This is my baby who is asking me to pick him up. he don't he just asking me to pick him up. Yes, so that is the situation with kids.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that wraps up all of the questions, and the response I'm getting on the chat session is everybody's really enjoyed it and very informative.
Let me show you one of the efforts that we did. Oh, you are sharing a screen. Can you allow me to share, to just show them?
Hang on 1 second.
Okay. I just want to share you one photo of what we did in Belize with, I was looking for photos and I did one of our kids program. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Just show you a few photos. This is our program in Trinidad when it comes to goats. This is a program we had. If you see the package they have, we go to the schools, we give them a pamphlet for Cardi, and then we work with them in the fields. This was an initial program we had and went very well. But if we have a team that we could do it together, it's a farm and field school. We go, we plant the crop, we provide the seed, we follow it, and the pamphlet allows them to follow and know what they're doing and when and how to do it. This is some of the efforts that we have with coconut. This is our bean program. Well, this is Cardi's harvesting water system. You see one here and one here. Okay. That's it. Let me close now if I could. Skip.
For your very excellent presentation. Okay, and to conclude our meeting, I would like to say that next weekend on Saturday, April 17th from 3 to 5 p.m. via Zoom, we are going to have our annual general meeting for Pro Organic. We are going to do elections for board members during this meeting. If you would like to be able to vote, you have to be a paid member of Pro Organic Belize. And